With a star in an accident and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Touching on Will Ospreay standing in AEW, Kevin Nash noted on his Click This podcast, see Ospreay's their star. If Wembley's the show in September, you got to crown Ospreay there, and that should be your #1 goal, is to make him the face of your company because he's the guy. Though, at the same time, I watched a little bit of SmackDown, and I watched AJ, and it's like Ospreay needs to get in better shape. Everybody looks like indie guys because no one looks like they take care of themselves. He just turned 30. Yeah, come on, man. He's fun to watch. He would be so great to watch against somebody like a Lesnar because he needs kind of a Goliath to pound the out of him. You can't sell an uppercut and take a flat back and then take another uppercut and kick up into a move. Everything's got to be sold the same. As MJF has been out of action dealing with injury since the end of last year, a brief update on a potential return timeline was given for him, with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful saying, I think MJF will be back in a few months. This was also said regarding MJF potentially facing AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. I tried to find out, but I haven't heard any opponents as Swerve's next challenger. I don't know if it's a close to the vest thing, but I was told it wasn't MJF. Today, a user on X posted a photo of himself with MJF at the C2E2 event, as the former champion can be seen with his arm in a sling. Addressing the similarities between himself and Chad Gable, especially Chad's new heel character, Kurt Angle said this on his podcast. Well, listen, the Kurt Angle formula worked the first time. The Kurt Angle formula will work today. I have noticed. I've been watching Chad, and he's doing a lot of actions that Kurt Angle used to do, different characteristics, different facial expressions, taking off his singlet before he does his finish. He has been doing the angle slam and the ankle lock. I feel like this is a rebirth of Kurt Angle. Giving a health update on former AEW TBS champion Julia Hart, Fightful Select reported that early indications were that Julia Hart would require surgery on the injury. All the specifics on what it is aren't known. She's not planned for upcoming AEW television as things stand. Speaking of injuries in AEW, this was said regarding Will Hobbs following his apparent injury on Dynamite during his match against Jon Moxley. As Brian Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Live, I want to start by wishing the best to Hobbs. If you watched the show last night, that was not a worked knee injury. He went for a high cross or something and smashed into the turnbuckles and injured his knee. He could barely walk, and he hopped his way back into the ring, hopped in like 2 spots and got choked out. There was more they were going to do. The Hobbs match was obviously supposed to go longer than it did. We don't know the extent of his knee injury yet, except that it is real. Hopefully, it is not bad. Reacting to comparisons between the Elite and the NWO, Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, they say imitation is a form of flattery, not so much in this case. If they would have made it a parody of how the NWO started, in my scene in Baltimore where I got jackknife powerbombed off the stage and all that, if they would have set this whole scene up as a parody last night, I probably would have been all about it. I would have enjoyed it. At least it would have been entertaining. If Lorne Michaels and the team at Saturday Night Live was going to produce a wrestling skit on the beginning of the NWO, this would have been what they produced. It was so bad, it was parody, it was comedy, and the really sad part is they're taking this seriously. They meant that to be a serious angle. It was so horrible from the beginning. This was without a doubt the worst, most horribly produced professional wrestling show for prime time on a major cable outlet in the last, maybe forever, years. In a video from 2019, The Rock can be seen predicting WWE's next big thing.
Yes. Who is the next Rock, John Cena? Who in the WWE you think could be the next big superstar?
Let's see. You know, I'm not quite too sure. I just know that a lot of guys obviously are working very hard. I spent a lot of time with Roman just now. Spent the past week with him, and we were talking about everybody who has potential and who doesn't. Personally, I like Drew McIntyre. I think he's got a great look, a great build, and especially as he continues to hone in on his craft and connect with the audience, which is always the most important thing. That's it.
I love it, my friend. With you, good to see you.
Good to see you,
buddy. I got something for
Thank you, dude.
As Goldberg previously stated, he will not be joining AEW since the product is too cheesy. Former WWE writer Vince Russo had this to say about it on the Wrestling Outlaws. I think it's more campy than cheesy. I think that's what he was kind of looking for. AEW is not for Bill Goldberg, which, bro, how could Tony Khan not understand? This is not a Bill Goldberg audience. He has built this audience. He caters to this audience. He caters to this audience. It's all about this audience. But yet he is going to talk to Bill Goldberg about coming in. They would boo Bill Goldberg out of the building, and that just blows my mind that Tony Khan does not understand what his own company is, bro. Explaining why plans to debut Shelton Benjamin in AEW fell through, Sean Ross Sapp said this during a Fightful Q&A session. There were talks about him going to AEW for a program, but there was a reason that slowed down. Somebody got sidelined, and he's actually going to go work progress. When it comes to AEW no longer having a particular streaming deal, Ringside News wrote that less than a year after signing a multi-year streaming deal with Televisa Univision, AEW is no longer available on the VIX platform, marking the second international broadcast deal that has ended without public notice. Neither AEW nor Televisa Univision has formally announced the contract's dissolution. However, a support page on the VIX platform revealed the news, indicating that AEW content was removed from the service. Although the page doesn't show a specific date, the HTML source code indicates the update occurred on March 13th. The partnership with Televisa Univision was announced in July 2023 and was intended to bring AEW's weekly TV programming and other content to VIX's premier tier, accessible across Mexico, parts of Latin America, and the Caribbean. WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston had estimated the deal's value at about $150,000 annually, though neither AEW nor Televisa Univision publicly confirmed this figure. This isn't the only international streaming deal involving AEW that has fallen through this year. According to international fans on Reddit, AEW's content disappeared from DAZN at the beginning of the year, despite a multi-year agreement signed in January 2023 covering 42 markets. Thurston estimated that deal was worth about $250,000 annually, though, like the VIX deal, neither party released official numbers. In a new development regarding Drew McIntyre's WWE status, The Rock posted this video to his Instagram.
Don't worry, we'll show it. Man of his word. Thank you, brother. Man of your word.
Rock also wrote, "Man of my word, as you're a man of yours. Congratulations, Drew McIntyre, on signing your new WWE deal. As we talked about after your WrestleMania match, I know this Scottish Claymore represents everything that you, your family, and your country embody. As you know, I wanted to personally hand deliver this gift to you at your meeting with Nick Khan, but I had warm cheap meals and chilled tequila waiting for me. Congrats again, brother, and cheers to to hunger, passion, climbing that mountain, and always entertaining our fans. Final boss. Staying on the topic of McIntyre, he will be needing some time off from the promotion, as PW instead reported that Drew McIntyre will not be back on TV immediately, as he is still recovering from his badly hyperextended elbow. He received a lot of respect from WWE for working through the issue over the course of last week's UK tour. While he has been out of action since last month dealing with a broken foot, Darby Allin would end up breaking his nose in the meantime. Now he has had another accident, writing on Instagram, "That awkward moment when you're crossing the street in New York with a broken foot and get hit by a bus. Least I can have a good time with Raymond Pettibon and catch a Broadway show." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.